Hello everybody and welcome to Figure Friday. Today we're going to be reviewing another one of the Daibadi Polynian figures. Today we're going to make a splash with Mel. Mel is of course written as Medu, but Mel is the actual intended pronunciation of the name. If you look at all the listings for this figure, it is listed as Mel for the most part. Obviously enough, we have a nice box with Mel on the front and a little low opacity version of her with one of her additional faces equipped, and already I'm excited to open this one. I've been excited to open this for quite some time, so let's take a look at the box. On the side, she's giving somewhat of a salute. On the top, she is posing with some sort of gun. On this side, we're getting to see a little bit of her robo booty, and on the back, of course, we have plenty of different poses and her with all of her different accessories in quite a few different shots here. As per the usual with the Polynian figures, there is a windowed display. And if we take that film off, we can get a better look at the actual figure. And on the flap of the box, there are some images of her. There's one of her actually wearing the sailor outfit that Yume comes with, so that just furthers the idea of being able to swap parts with these figures. There's a couple anime drawings of her here, and a bunch of details on her accessories here on the bottom flap. So without further ado, let's open this figure up. So this pamphlet's actually instructing you on how to get the pegs for some of the joints into the figure with a bit more ease. If you've watched my other figure reviews from this line, you'll understand that there are some parts that are incredibly hard to get into some of the holes, making some of the joints incredibly tight, which of course could potentially break something. This is telling you, I guess, to heat the parts. It suggests putting the parts into hot water and allowing them to heat for a little bit before fitting them. And I'm not sure if this blade here is indicating that you should cut them open and potentially soften them that way or something like that. But man, that is quite a big oversight to basically tell people 4 figures in how to better care for them, which makes me a little nervous, but we're still going to open her anyway because we do love this line. And of course, there's problems with all sorts of figures, and using heat is not completely a familiar in caring for your figures. So with that said, let's get into this and see how tight some of these parts are. So right off the bat, we can see Mel in the little windowed display here, and she looks wonderful. Her hair is incredibly bright, contrasts really nice with her skin, and of course the swimsuit is sort of a navy blue color, which is just a little bit different from that dark gray of her joints, and it creates a nice bit of contrast between everything. And of course there's that bit of blue transparent plastic between her chest, but let's open this up and look at those accessories. On the back, we can see her surfboard-looking accessory, as well as these little water gun-looking things that attach to her. And this time, her hexagonal base is actually blue, which is really cool. This is a little bit different from the other ones, but I think it adds a little bit more character for this one, since of course, she is water-themed, being as she is in a swimsuit. So let's take a look at her accessories. She comes with these little parts that actually attach to the bottoms of her sandals, which extend out a little bit. We'll see that later. She comes with a pair of closed fists that do have peg holes in them for you to put accessories, and these of course have the locked wrists. These cannot be posed. She comes with a pair of open hands, 2 additional faces to make it 3 for total with the one that she currently has attached, and then of course the figure is right here as well. Her faces include an incredibly happy face and a somewhat apprehensive but blushing face. Let's take her out. And of course, as we referenced earlier, there's her blue hexagonal base, and if we lift this plastic, these are not bagged this time, and we can see her little water guns as well as her boogie board attachment. These parts are pretty nice. They have a nice bit of accent blue in there, very shiny, a little bit of a paint error right here as we can see. If we flip it around, there's really not too much going on the back, but funny enough, this part is not messed up through the paint. These handles do actually come out, so you can bring those out and do some additional posing with that. I'm assuming she can actually hold this board, sort of like an actual little moto board or something like that. And there's peg holes in the back, as well as a peg on the front. Her water guns are incredibly neat looking with a bit of translucent plastic in both of them, which almost make it look like she has water guns full of water, ready to blast on the beach and have a bit of a beach blast. This one looks to be handheld, or it could probably be plugged in with these pegs on the side, and these of course can plug into it, and these can create a mega water blaster. But this also attaches to her boogie board, so now this is more of like an aqua jetpack. Very Mario Sunshine. On to the figure herself, I am incredibly happy to finally be holding this, and I've got to say, this might be my new favorite in the line. She's so simple, but it works so well. If you watched my Yume video, you'll understand that I was incredibly frustrated with her because there was so much going on with the design that she constantly fell apart and made the figure almost impossible to handle and impossible to pose, and that just is not fun. I love these figures for their ability to be posed, and I am a posable figure guy. I'm not a statue guy. I like being able to pose things and make them interact with one another, so let's see how she fares. But let's get a look at the actual figure now. She looks amazing. So simple, yet it works so well. It contrasts so nicely with the rest. So we have a nice body proportion, very fit, thin waist, nice wide hips, ample chest, and a cute little robo booty as usual with the Polynian line. If we take a look at the back of the figure, she has a nice bit of detail and some trim in the swimsuit that does come around to the front, a bit of a navel there. Of course, there's some details in the chest, a little bit of the neck hole there, which is commonplace with the other figures as well. Hers is a bit more pronounced. The eyes are absolutely stunning. That may be my favorite thing so far, is the face on this figure is absolutely gorgeous. She is so pretty. And the hair is wonderful. I love this bright orange. It's almost like mac and cheese color. This is simply amazing. Compared to the other ones who have pink and purple hair, which is very standard fare for anime, it's nice to see one with this somewhat natural hair color, but it works well because it's so high saturated and so bright that it stands out amazingly. And she has these cute little bows in her hair and even these little tufts on the side to look like bangs, as well as the little princess bang in the front. Some attachments where her ears might be, similar to Yume. What I think I like the most about her body is the actual sandals that she has. Look at her, just in her standard pose, she looks so dynamic compared to some of the other ones. Now look, we all love Shamrock. He's adorable, he's got a great figure, he's got a great form, his anatomy is nice and satisfying, and it's simple, but hers just has a bit better shape. And I think it's thanks to the hair. The hair bows out and it creates a bit of extra space up top. Then of course you have the sandals, which give her a little bit of chunk at the bottom, nice and thin in the middle. This figure is satisfying to look at. And this is from a design standpoint. If you understand character design, this character simply works. And I cannot stop talking about her, so I'm going to force myself to stop talking about her. Now let's talk articulation. This figure is comprised of the many ball peg joints that the other Polynian figures have, so she has the standard articulation that you would get out of Shamrock or Clover, which is great because that's incredibly free articulation. And just to remind you of that, she has a up and down, and she has a swivel, of course, which can be tilted as well with the head. Her pigtails, they're on pegs, so I suppose you could very well pose them, but only with a swivel. So maybe you could give her like a crazy scissor cut here. That's completely up to you. Though it is nice to be able to move her hair just a bit, so say you wanted to do a side pose where you don't want that touching her shoulder, it is nice to have that freedom to move it a bit. Her arms, of course, without the hair in the way, has the up and down, the swivel, and it gets a nice range of motion. Same with the elbow, same with the wrist, same with the legs, same with the knee, and of course her foot is uninhibited by the sandal, so she has plenty of articulation there too. Let's take a look at that waist. Of course, she has her swivel, she has her up and down. The ball is actually twisted right now, but she has all the ability to pose just like the others, and I think that actually blends really well. The gray with the navy blue actually works really well. Now let's talk accessories. This, of course, is sort of like an aqua jetpack. Now, of course, you could use this other ways. You could make her hold it or whatever you want, or you don't have to even attach the jets, but it is nice to have. It does give her a little bit more heft, and it's a very simple peg to plug in the back. Looks great. When you look at her from the front, that gives her a little bit more width in the middle, which is good. It looks good, and you can move these around to your liking. You can actually bring them in and out with the up and down of those little handles that they're actually on. So it has a nice bit of articulation to it, and of course it's optional. You can take it off if you don't like it. Another thing are the fins that attach to her sandals. Not quite sure why these are important, but if you look at the bottom, she has little pegs on her feet, and of course, those plug very simply into this, giving her foot a little bit more heft. And there you have it. They actually give a little bit more width to her bottom half, which is even better because now she's balanced out even more. And that just simply looks amazing. These have a little bit of swivel action that you can get out of them if you want to angle them a little bit differently, or you can take them off. They're completely optional. She also has little holes so she can still be plugged into her stand without any issue. She also still has a hole above her butt and one in the back of her head, so she could be plugged into the Polynian stand that you can buy separately, or a Figma stand, or whatever you want to use. And there she is, all plugged into her stand. She looks amazing. And with that water on my little lazy Susan and the sharks in the background, she fits in perfectly with this setting. I'm so happy with this figure. Let's pose it, and I'll talk a little bit more before I finally let you go. And here we see her with her little water pistol, and she's happy to be playing with her friends. There's one thing that I could see as a flaw, and that is with the hands that are included with her. I'm assuming she's supposed to grip the water pistol with the closed hands that she comes with. So the one included on screen is the one that she comes with, and I'm assuming that's what they want you to make her hold the gun with. Unfortunately, that's a circle hole. The gun that she comes with has more of a square pegged handle, so I actually had to use a hand from another Polynian figure that I had that's a little bit more open for her to hold the gun with. I actually broke the handle of the gun, but luckily it plugged back in easily enough, and I'm sure that some super glue could get it right back with a seamless transition. She looks awesome with this accessory, and I would hate to not be able to pose her with it, so please do not use that included hand. If you have the option, use a hand from another figure that has a little bit more of an open grasp so that she doesn't break that gun. And I can't be bothered to take that happy face off of her because she just looks so good with it. So here she is using her boogie board attachment to surf on into you. I have her attached to a Figma stand, but like I said, there's also the Polynian stand. Anything that fits in those tiny little pegs is fine. Oh my god, it's like it never ends with this figure. I just found something really cool. So you remember these little water guns, right? So take a look at the bottom. You see this little vent here? Well, this exhaust fan can be turned, so I guess you could pose it, right? Cool feature. Very pointless. No. Pop that off, and you now have a peg. And that peg is to apply these little fins from her sandals. So now we have an even more menacing pistol. With the added power of the sandal jets and those 2 additional chambers, we now have the Ultra Hydro Blaster. And just look at that. It's like a final smash attack if she was in Smash Brothers. It's honestly almost too much gun for her. It's about the size of her midsection, if not bigger. I'm honestly blown away by how all these little parts came together to create such an awesome, huge accessory. And even after breaking the handle, she holds it effortlessly. It's crazy. And here we have her using her aqua jet cannons aimed forward at the viewer as if she's using this new move I've invented called her Sunshine Blast. You can actually aim those jets forward as suggested by the back of the box, and you can even plug her water gun into the back of the boogie board as well for some added compartmentalization. This would be another one of her ultimate attacks, I think, if not her up B. And here she is, not dabbing, but throwing her boogie board to the side as if she's ready to David Hasselhoff jump into a pool to save a drowning robot. I don't know how that works, but I do like the idea of it, and this pose looks damn good. And here she is finally having actually saved Shamrock from drowning. He's hopeless, isn't he? I have to admit, I absolutely love this figure. Posing it is incredibly easy, the articulation is just where it needs to be, and it just looks amazing in poses. There's almost nothing I can find wrong with this figure. The only thing that I would say is bad is the fact that I was able to break the handle of the gun so easily, but I will say that I received fair warning from the pamphlet that came with this figure. I don't think it's an excuse for fragile parts, but either way, I learned, and it's something that I can fix, so I'm happy that it's not completely destroyed. This figure from a base standpoint is simply adorable and gorgeous to look at. And just come on, look at that face. That smug, kind of cute, upset face that she has, that sort of tsundere look. It's just perfect. I have to say, from top to bottom, I absolutely love this figure. I can find almost nothing wrong, and I have to give it a solid 10 out of 10. This figure just hits all the bases for me. She's easy to pose, she looks great when posed, she looks great out of the box just standing straight. You could put her in T-pose and she looks amazing. I love this figure at its base design, and then of course articulation comes in, and this one just hits everything right. More like this. They were clearly learning at this point when they were making these figures, and goodness, if the next ones are as good as this, I am afraid of how much I will fall in love with these figures as I continue to go. I'd love to see her in a red version of that same swimsuit. the standard sort of lifeguard apparel. Give her blonde hair and a red swimsuit, and that would be so awesome. I'm sure somebody's done it and they've painted her like that out there. Make sure to like and comment the video if you did enjoy it, or if you do want to get this figure, let me know in the comments. If you already have it, let me know in the comments. If you want to see more figure reviews, you can go ahead and take a look at the playlist I'm linking up in the top here. And please, come on back. We're going to be reviewing all these figures, so stay tuned to the channel, subscribe. Thanks so much. Take care.